Start trading crypto today. Sign up for our step-by-step video series to get set up with the best trading tools, start analyzing charts, enter and exit a trade properly, and most importantly, see if crypto trading is right for you. Join us at bitlabacademy.com.
Welcome to Rice TV X. You've just snapped, crackled, and popped yourself into the latest episode of the Rice Crypto Show. Today's guest is 10 Pound. He is the founder of Bolt Metaverse. We're going to learn more about his project and have a conversation about all things NFTs and virtual reality. Before we get into it, visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX content. You will also find my various social media links and more. You can also find Rice TVX on Odyssey and Library, where I have a full catalog of my videos, post up extra content, and share other appearances. And you can also find Rice TVX on BitChute. To support Rice TVX directly, you can contribute or send tips to PayPal, to Cash App, or cryptocurrencies via my Cointree link in the video description. Everything is appreciated. Another way to support what I do is by joining my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to some of my videos, exclusive content, and more. Get your free half ounce of silver. Take full advantage of my partnership with Money Metals Exchange in 5 easy steps. 1. Visit moneymetals.com. 2. Be a first-time buyer. 3. Purchase a minimum of $100. 4. Use the promo code RICE. 5. Get a free half ounce of silver, and it's an additional way to support the channel. I will include links in the video description for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything shared on today's video. All right, joining me on today's show is somebody who I've known in the crypto space for quite a few years. This is 10 Pound. He is the founder of Bolt Metaverse. 10 Pound, welcome to the show. What's going on, my friend?
Hey, it's good to see you, Rice. It's a pleasure to be chatting with you again, bro. Yeah, we've been sort of like mingling in Web3 for a while, doing some cross-pollination with a few other channels and whatnot. And it's great to finally be on your show. Thank you for having me on.
And I'm looking forward to it, man. We've done some collaborations with Crypto Blood on CBTV on Off the Chain. We've done lots of episodes together, but we actually met for the first time, and even before the Crypto Blood stuff, like in late 2019 at Anarcadelphia.
Yep, I remember those days, man. Crypto was far smaller. It was a bit more of a humble community, I'd say, of people, nowadays compared to some of the theatrics and
Yeah, no, I would agree.
installations, man. Like these days, yeah, things sort of blow out of proportion from time to time, but it's always good to remember that there are grassroots people and there are amazing minds around this new economic system. So yeah.
And what was it that specifically brought you to, because the Anarcadelphia was not really a crypto event. There was some crypto bleed over and some topics that were mentioning crypto and blockchain. But what brought you to Anarcadelphia?
Well, that was, I'd say, coinvention, simultaneously mingling with some people that I had met in prior events, also wanting to go to Anarcadelphia, such as some NFT personalities and also some amazing crypto enthusiasts and evangelists, and also my favorite media personalities at the time from Steam were also talking about the event. So we all pretty much decided, why not actually sponsor the event? So of course I had sponsored an event with a prior business partner of mine, and we sort of just like created this charity deck to sort of like kickstart a project. And yeah, Anarcadelphia was an event that I actually spoke at. But for the most part, I believe that Coinvention was in the hackathon was like the bigger overarching idea
I
for me.
forgot.
Like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
forgot that.
yeah, yeah,
Right after, I think it was right after Anarcadelphia, a couple
yeah.
days later, was that Coin Agenda event, which I wasn't able to attend, but I did go to a meetup of Bitcoin Bens before I left. So yeah, there was this kind of crossover thing. So
Mhm.
how and when did you actually get involved in crypto?
Well, I got involved in crypto full time back in 2017. And it was actually because I had heard through the grapevine, technically me mixing some CTO at a Fortune 500 company that I don't want to name right now, talk about how smart contracts are the future of distributed computing. And yeah, it intrigued me, and I sort of like dug a little bit deeper. But I sort of like got involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and I read the Bitcoin white paper back in 2013, straight out of high school. And yeah, that's pretty much how I am here right now these days.
So you read the white paper from 2013, but you
Mhm.
didn't get
Yeah.
involved or buy until like 2017.
Well, I'd say like I started working in the space 20 full time in 2017. Back in those early days, after I read the white paper, I was accumulating Bitcoin, not necessarily buying in with fiat currency, but more so like playing like MMORPGs and sort of like doing trade amongst certain people in cryptocurrency, and also of course just having good time doing my own research and distributing like my GPU to some mining pools and acquiring some cryptocurrency myself on my own behalf. So yeah,
Smart moves.
hmm
So
yeah,
you've gotten really into NFTs and the metaverse.
yeah. I have actually. More so, I think it's like some sort of engineer that just has an eye for what's next, what's coming down the road. I try to stay 3 steps ahead of everybody, ahead of like the market, and I have been involved in platforms which we were discussing earlier about like alt space, and whatnot. Back in 2017, I was pretty much filming content and hanging out there and sort of like mingling with some master masons actually that I found on the platform as well, which is really interesting. How yeah,
Master Masons in the metaverse.
yeah, I know, right? It sounds a little.
It sounds like a really cool TV show or
Yeah,
movie.
right. It does. Yeah, it sounds like a plot line. Um, and for the most part, they're cool people. They're everyday people, just like you and me. But for the most part, they just have a connection to certain forms of wealth and knowledge outside, esoteric knowledge outside of the metaverse, that they can then take and act on inside of the metaverse, which is really cool. I think that's super neat. Um, but this technology is interconnecting all of us, and you can either choose to bury your head in the sand or sort of adopt and move forward in the best way possible. I wear the tech. I have a tack suit on right now, in case you guys are unfamiliar with the tech, your audience. A tack suit is a haptic feedback suit where I can actually feel interactions inside the metaverse. It also comes with cufflinks and feet. Uh,
Show that
now
thing
you can
off if you
feel the
don't mind.
rumbling. Huh?
Can you kind
Oh,
of show it off? Like, can you move your jacket there a little bit?
yeah, sure. So,
You don't have to get naked or anything. I
I'm not.
just
Yeah,
was
I'm not. So, check it out. This is what happens when you turn it on, right? So it will start flashing blue, and that means that it's looking for a device to connect to. It's automatically connecting to my PC, because of course I'm right in front of it, and I've already synced up with it prior to. But yeah, it's a really interesting piece of hardware because of the fact that you can pretty much feel, uh, sensations as if they're happening to you in reality, and you're sort of like tricking your brain.
So does it change the sensation, or is it you're pretty much getting the same thing off of everything? Like whether it's like somebody hitting you or shooting you, are you feeling
Mhm.
the same thing from the device?
Yeah,
Or does it
pretty much
vary it? Does
in
it
real
vary it
time.
up?
Oh yeah, you're exactly that what you said first, instead of the latter. Literally, whenever you feel a bullet inside the metaverse and it's being like deflected with like bulletproof armor, you can only feel like the tap, right? If it pierces the bulletproof armor, you can feel it go in and out of you, out the other side, and it's really intriguing. even getting hit in the head, give you a
The
headache a little
the
bit.
wearable stuff is definitely really cool, and I want to touch back on it here in a few. And
Mhm.
before we get into metaverse, because it's, I mean, obviously metaverse really existed prior to, I guess, prior to even like a lot of these crypto projects. But what are your overall thoughts on NFTs? Then we'll kind of jump into the idea of the metaverse.
Well, I see the NFTs as a contractual token that can be utilized for digital asset ownership, uh, tying itself into the physical world in supply chains, but also even in the virtual world, delegating ownership over assets as well. So, and of course, certain people just want to say an NFT is just a JPEG. You can right click and save it. That couldn't be anything further from the truth. It's a logistical tool, and it's pretty much the DRM of the future, digital rights management tool of the future. Um,
The
uh,
digital what? Can you repeat that?
Digital rights management tool of the future, DRM, which has
Okay.
been, I'd say, on the minds of many people around the globe, which has been sort of a subject of controversy as well, and based on you know content recreation, re-recording, redistributing, etc. The FBI once put out, disclaimers for all these movie giants, and all these big Hollywood studios, right, saying that if you violated certain terms and conditions, right, based on recreation, reselling, pretty much bootlegging, as they would call it, you could pay up to a $50,000 fine, etc. Right? Um,
So this is kind of a way of protecting like trademark, copyright, IP, and stuff like that in a digital element.
Precisely. Yes. That's
Okay.
how a lot of people in the Fortune 500 are seeing this technology as well.
Well,
So,
someone's going to do it. I mean, in the legal world, someone's going to do it. And I'm seeing that in
mhm,
crypto. People are starting to make a little bit of an issue about people who are um, getting patents and things to that effect. And ultimately, if people in the crypto space don't do it, the banks and the financial institutions will, because
mhm.
Bank of America and MasterCard have a plethora of approved patents, and a lot of the technologies and ideas was literally just to stifle the crypto element because they don't have plans to utilize this technology, but they own the rights to it, which is kind of a scary thing. So what you said just makes complete sense. Now beyond the idea of the art aspect of NFTs,
Mhm.
however that's being displayed, and beyond like how it's being used now for like kind of gaming, what are some of the use cases and utility for NFTs that you see as being a highlight to what NFTs could represent here soon?
Well, I grew up dealing with game theory from a very young age through MMORPGs, as I alluded to earlier. And I think that financial assets in game uh, serve a purpose, and that purpose is only going to become far more exacerbated with the advancements of NFTs, because you can now have an interest-bearing asset that is pegged with a digital asset, right? Um, which is really intriguing. It's like defining, um, a DeFi contract inside of a video game, pretty much, if you think about it. Like, let's say, for instance, you have an item in the game, right, that exists inside of your in-game home, that, let's call it the money tree, right? It's a smart contract. It's an interest-bearing contract, right? And it's pretty much it's an NFT, so you can deposit uh, a fungible token into that non-fungible token, and then watch it multiply, right? And then take the yield from that smart contract, and then turn that into uh, an asset that you can use in game, right? let's say another piece of armor or a new sword, etc. Certain things of that nature in game, but also I see people utilizing NFTs for world creation, just building an entire mecha, right, and then determining ownership of who owns that mecha based on NFT ownership, hash tables, etc. If that answers your question.
I wanted to make sure I wasn't muted, which I was, because I was also doing a little screen share, which I know you couldn't see by the way that you have your camera set up. So I was trying to make sure I was getting back to the other screen to unmute myself so that there wouldn't be any silence. What about NFTs being used to kind of replace what we see as the traditional ticketing system for like concerts and events, or NFTs being used for like registrations, licenses, contracts, and things like that?
For sure, that's already been done, as we've seen with like ENS and other domain services such as Unstoppable Domains as well. And I think that's great. As for ticketing, yeah, I think that perhaps since there's such a huge stranglehold and monopoly over ticketing currently as it exists in the market, I think cashback systems with NFTs would work best, rather than just having the NFT itself be a ticket. But there are people that have NFT ticketing services that are integrating with Ticketmaster right now, I believe. Just sort of like working out the final
one of the cool ideas that I got with like the ticket thing in specific would be the idea that you see a lot of companies buying up tickets in advance and then selling them at a higher premium. And in a sense where you're doing it with NFTs, you have where you can avoid counterfeit tickets, and you can also, where people are reselling the tickets, you can have it programmed to where a certain percentage goes back to the original producer or the creator of the NFTs. So that way there's a little bit more evenness kind of made in the industry. So I mean, there's a lot of different things at NFTs that I think can really do some disruption in. I think that we're really just at the very beginning of it all. I mean, we're still at the early days of crypto, so we're definitely in the early days of NFTs. But metaverse has kind of been around for a little bit. We've seen, from my perspective, things like games like Fortnite is kind of a metaverse. Would you agree with something like that?
Yeah, it is, because it's open technology that anybody can come and build their own game variant on, or their own maps. It's a part of the Epic Games creation engine. Unreal, right?
Unreal, yeah.
So, and Unreal is open source technology as well, which is nice. It's great to see like companies just embracing the fact that content creators are going to do what content creators want to do, and just giving away access to the technology, and coming back to reap the bounties later, right? As long as you don't raise over 100K, as soon as your game starts selling, that's when they're going to take their cut. But they're just going to give you access to the tool for free. Right. So yeah, it's great.
Now, before we talk about Bolt Metaverse, what are your overall thoughts on the metaverse in general?
I think the metaverse right now, as it currently exists, is sort of like dealing with some speculators from the Web3 side, and then traditional content creators and traditional 3D modelers, and people on the other side of the fence that have been building for decades upon decades, are sort of like at a precipice right now, where there's like a complete wall of Web3 library based platforms, and then traditional gaming companies that have built the tools, right, the engines themselves that can sort of like integrate in with these massive libraries of like Web3 data. Now, where the controversy lies is in management and who controls said wall gardens and what they're choosing to do with certain platforms, right?
Hmm. Right.
You got the sandboxes of the world, Decentraland. You've got crypto voxels and even the other side platform that some DAOs are posturing to be the next big emerging open interoperable metaverse right around the corner, right? Claiming that they have a whole farm and chickens before their chickens even truly hatch, per se.
Right.
And then, of course, you have traditional gaming companies, once again, that we were alluding to, Epic Games, right? When their uh, Unreal 5 engine was just launched, which I'm not sure if people are aware of Nanite and what that's going to do to, like, the entire graphical AAA landscape of video games and how fast video games are going to be able to be made now with the advancements of Unreal Engine 5. And of course, other platforms such as Wilder World that want to build on top of Unreal 5 and make a metaverse of the future as well, right? There's so many different companies all gunning and racing for the same idea and concept. Um, but then, of course, you have other content creators. Once again, the people that have seen Web3, right? And then they've decided, let's not necessarily build on Unreal Engine. Let's build on our own engine, right? Or let's use Unity, right? And then sort of like fork and hook onto our own ecosystem that we want to create, such as what Altspace does. Altspace serves as a hook, a containerized system for the metaverse. People that want to build on Unity and then port their worlds into a server ecosystem that's also a budding community, which is Altspace.
So
I'm sure we've
is
had
Neos is
conversations in there.
yeah, I can't
Mhm.
you can't visually see me for me to like try to throw up like a hand. I know it's don't worry about it, dude. Don't worry about it. I'm just saying I'm trying not to interrupt you, but um is alt space what you were describing is what it is? Is it comparable? Is the same thing as what Neos is that you had showed me utilizing Bolt?
Well, Neos
Or what's the
in
difference between alt space and Neos? And then what's the difference between Horizon Worlds? These are things that I'm starting
mhm.
to learn about.
Yeah, that's a good question. So Horizons World is a Facebook platform, which is pretty much a centralized metaverse platform, right, where people can deploy their world, same as Altspace, right? But Neos in itself is a verbose, open, hooked platform, just similar to Altspace in a sense, but they're powered by their own engine called the Fruxius engine. This is what the Bolt Metaverse is built on top of, and they integrate those existing Web3 libraries already. They allow people to utilize the tokenomics of Web3 in the form of their own token called NCR or KFC. But there are people that have taken the open nature of Neos and built their own blockchain on top of Neos and have open sourced the software to run your own blockchain as well, if you want to utilize their data and logic systems. So it's pretty much the metaverse right now in a sense that it's open, it's transparent, it's free, it's just as open as Altspace, which is a Microsoft platform. And of course, it's peer to peer, and there are Web3 tokenomics, and the tools that exist are open and, of course, available to the world. Anybody that can run the installation can access these worlds and build on top of these worlds. Yep.
Is it is this all part of the FOSS, the free and open source network ecosystem that you know of?
I believe so. Neos is absolutely, and
Okay.
to an extent, they've got funding from some EU bureaucrats, but also some uh, VC firms as well. Uh, and of course, the community is doing heavy patronage. Actually, the community is paying for the bills, the majority of the organization's bills right now, as it currently stands. So the community is essentially decentralizing uh, the platform based on the amount of donations that are streaming in through Patreon. So you donate through Patreon and they give you cash back and their native token called the NCR token. And that's being used for decentralized storage for you to build your own blockchain and build your own NFT projects on top of the platform with.
decentralized storage using IPFS or what?
Well, it's not necessarily using IPFS, but it's more so storage that's allocated from, uh, I want to say either AWS data services, which I know, right? Amazon is a big corporation, but they still have distributed cryptocurrency services,
Right.
which,
No, a
yeah.
lot of crypto services utilized, and people don't have any clue probably how much
Hmm.
cryptos run on using the AWS cloud services. So I agree. Okay, so
Yep.
what would be, in your opinion, the differences when I think about alt space platform or alt space, when I think about metaverse platforms like alt space, Horizon Worlds using Oculus, and Neos, as you showed me, what's the difference between those type of platforms versus your Decentraland, your Sandbox, your crypto voxels, as you mentioned?
Well, the beautiful part about Neos is the fact that you could pretty much host your own worlds uh, away from, per se, the AWSs, right? If you wanted to do that, but with Decentraland and Crypto Voxels, right? Those those servers, right, where those worlds are being hosted, that's necessarily in control of the platform in itself, right? Decentraland, they don't necessarily allow you as a you know owner of the land to determine where exactly your world is stored in the state of the blockchain. Like Decentraland is hosting that world
Right.
and that plot, pretty much on that map that you've acquired. As for Neos, when it comes down to it, you could host a world headlessly and make it nodal and completely change the configuration of like the actual world, right? And make sure that like the nodal properties of the world state is then determined by everybody else that's utilizing the platform too, over WebSockets, etc. Right?
Hmm.
And some people choose to do this with containers, such as Docker, right? Which is a great solution. Even 0x protocol has done this with Docker containers, which is a DEX protocol built on top of Ethereum.
Okay.
So yeah, that's pretty much the idea, right? It's like layers, building in parallel and layers, and making sure that no one single point of failure is going to allow the entire world to just go offline. You know, ultimately.
Well, yeah, and I've been learning as much as I can. I've explored alt space VR in the past, using the 2D element on the computer, and then earlier before we started recording, you had me download the client for Neos so that I could actually kind of get into the Bolt Metaverse, which that's kind of where I want to lead things. And then I got a few more questions after that. But
Mhm.
what exactly is Bolt Metaverse? Since you're the founder, how would you explain this project to somebody?
I would say Bolt Metaverse is an Ethereum virtual machine that serves as a Nexus Hub for galas and events. Um, so anybody that holds a meta key can come in and pretty much just control a light show inside of the world and showcase a product, maybe showcase an NFT project, showcase your favorite artist that's spinning a live event in reality that's being live streamed and broadcast to the world. You can give it a digital place, a home in the metaverse momentarily, host an event for that said event that's happening in reality too, for people that can't necessarily be there in person, right? Um, and of course, it's a hookah bar upstairs as well, where you can sit down and mingle with other like-minded individuals and sort of like have a chat about what it is that you're watching. Maybe even like exchange data, right? Because the client is on your computer, you can share files and folders, and even memes. Memeing is fun in there too. Like it's like you're looking like at an actual JPEG in cyberspace in the metaverse. it's a good time. It's a content creation factory as well for metaverse VTubers too. So we really want this to be an all-encompassing venue where people can come and hang out, and it's going to be headless. It's going to be decentralized. That's the way it is. Also, some DAOs are hosting a festival in it soon. More info on that coming shortly.
So it's kind of like a party, like a convention center, I guess, with like a nightclub attached to it.
Yeah,
In a
precisely.
sense, where people can host a variety of different events, whether it be corporate or whether it be something that they want to make more of a kind of an extravagant, kind of almost like a concert using laser shows. Because going into the world, I got to experience, and we'll record a second part. Either I'll attach it to the recording of this at the end, or I'll do a separate video and we'll do like a second part where we're actually inside of the Bolt Metaverse and show it to everybody. But in the meantime, what I'll do real quick, and I've got this shared on screen, I'm going to pull up. You can't see it, so don't worry about it. It's that video that is on the Twitter account. So I'm going to go full screen and press play on it and let it play through, and then we'll just finish talking here in just 1 second. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I got you. Moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I got you. Moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I got you. Moonlight, you're my starlight. I need you all night. Come on, dance with me. I'm levitating.
All right.
Yeah. So
that's really cool, man. And for what people saw there is, that's what the world looks like, and you can change your different avatars. So 10 Pound has an alias that has to do with his music he's involved with. If you couldn't figure out that he's a musician, with the guitars, the studio setup behind him, the microphones and all that, he is a musician, and he goes by the alias of Fiddy. That's WONFIDDY. And we'll talk a little bit more about Fiddy here in a minute. But what was your inspiration for wanting to do the Bolt Metaverse?
Well, the idea was, I started with a MP4 project that Ken Bozak decided to collect as an NFT. Shout out Ken Bozak, appreciate you.
Who's that guy?
Well, he created the NFT, the movie. You know,
I know. That's my bro. Shout out to Ken Bozak.
Bro, man. Seriously, man. He's the bro for sure, man. I love that guy.
No, he's good people. I love you, Ken.
Yeah, so I rendered out this NFT, and he collected it, and he supported my art, and I forever appreciate his generosity, and it's just good to show gratitude to the guy. And I think that when he collected that piece, I shared with him that, like, I wanted to take that concept and turn it into an actual place, a physical place where people could, like, actually mingle, and we could have an economy, another economy based around the metaverse, and that's essentially where it came from. I created a song called Waveform, which is like, Gigaway is the native power function for gas for the Ethereum network. And of course, a waveform and Gigaway, right? You put it together and voila, it's just a song. It's practically a song, but it represents digital value on the blockchain. And I was like, how can I take like digital frequencies and the logo and the concept of like the spinning W above the CPU socket to the next level and actually build something that's tangible in a digital space. I know digital tangible, right? It's not physical, but it's just digital and it's tangible. It's a space that exists in real time that can be altered by the community, right? It's living, it's breathing, it's a time machine if you think about it in the cloud. And so forth the idea, the concept was born, right?
Well, I think it's really cool, man. I'm on the OpenSea page looking at the description for the key for the Bolt Meta key, and I want to tell people that when I was in there, I went to the control booth, which I thought was the DJ booth, but there's no DJ booth. But it looks like a traditional DJ booth, really cool one. And that's where you can control the different lights. You can change the skylights that are going on. You can look above and see a different variation of crazy artwork going on. And I was talking to 10 Pound about, well, this would be really interesting with some psilocybin, some
Yeah.
mushrooms. And so the funny thing was 10 Pound got meta mushrooms, and he made these things. They just came out of nowhere, and I ate the meta mushrooms. And when I did, what I visually was seeing started changing. And I'm like, so the meta mushrooms actually kind of gave me like a meta hallucination. And it was so wild because you were like, yeah, that's exactly what you experienced. And it was rather bizarre, but it was really cool.
Yeah, it's far more vivid when you're actually in the headset, but it's still really trippy seeing it on your monitor. It's something else, man. I'll tell you what, like,
So with
and
Oculus, I could use it with Oculus and be able
mhm,
to access it,
yeah, you can.
access Bolt Metaverse.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I have a auction for a one of one NFT, and what we're gonna do is give somebody, of course, the key to control bolts and all access all the tools, right? Control the light show, etc. Pretty much control the venue, right? And then host an event in it. We're also going to give them a bespoke, technically compromised, not from a software perspective, but from like an accessory perspective, package, a metaverse survival kit, if you will. And it's an incredible piece. I want to show you what it looks like. If you don't mind me pulling it out.
No, I
It's
was wondering what that
it's a
rumble of
whole
noise was.
it's a whole case of technology, right? And inside of this thing is, I kid you not, an Oculus Quest. And yeah, it's pretty much going to go to the highest bidder of an amazing community, I'd say.
And
And
it'll be a one of one NFT.
yeah, it's a one of one NFT, precisely that. I'll show you exactly what it looks like too. This is it inside of its case, right?
Nice.
Yep.
That's
And I even have
nice.
the logo right on the front.
That's nice as hell, man.
So
I like that.
yeah, that's and of
Very,
course,
very, very nice.
right? And of course, like with it comes extra cables, some gum to help you deal with like nausea if you get motion sick. Some people deal with that
Really.
whenever they first like getting started, like their first like 3 days. So it's best to like train yourself slowly, uh, which for the most part it's like a science with your brain, really. Getting used to flying in the metaverse is difficult for some people. Getting used to ducking and diving, playing certain games, moving at a high speed, and working out in the metaverse takes a while. But it's a good time. It's a blast, really. I'd say
Well,
it's akin to almost rediscovering the Americas, almost.
well, okay, since you brought it up, and this was going to be one of my questions, but what do you find from your perspective of immersing yourself into this technology as the dangers of the metaverse?
Hmm. Well, I think some people might take things a bit too far and drive themselves to the brink of madness almost, um, and psychosis, uh, with like, sort of like wanting the latest and greatest products to like, feel like, certain things that they're seeing around their eyes. Sensational haptic technology is what I think it's being coined as these days. Where like, it's almost like smell-o-vision, right? Where but it's the opposite. It's just around your eyes. It's like, I and maybe even control mechanisms, right? Where people are using VR technology to not only affect what's happening in the metaverse, but also simultaneously the real world, right? As I was telling you about with certain IoT infrastructure. And ultimately, I think in the future, people are going to have huge facilities of, 3D printed humanoids that they're going to want to control through virtual reality. And yeah, having a means to really
Like surrogate,
yeah, surrogate
like
based
the movie
technology.
Surrogate,
Yeah, practically, yes,
where
along those
you're
lines.
keeping yourself out of harm's way. You're just sitting at
Hmm.
home in a bed, and in
Yeah,
that sense, you could be plugged up to a machine, being a battery, like kind of in the
yeah,
Matrix, and then then you're supplying energy to the world, and in return, you live in this virtual reality, and that's my biggest concern. 10 pound with metaverse is just people hating their actual life so much that they spend all their time and put all this value into a virtual reality, and I find that to be kind of something that could become an issue, um, escaping life. And I know a lot of it has been designed for those reasons as well, but I don't want to see people lose appreciation for reality because of virtual reality.
yeah. I totally understand, but we're talking about a manifestation of a tool where if you want to do things that would typically get you arrested, right? You would end up in jail. You could just do freely inside of. And that sort of power and exhilaration of being able to die and then respawn again, die and respawn
Well, what
again,
about
right?
digital laws? You
It's
can't
like,
go around digitally committing digital crimes if it's
I mean, people
harmful.
do it
So,
in Grand Theft Auto all the time. Grand Theft Auto 5
but that's
online, all the
NPCs, right?
yeah,
That's not.
yeah,
It's
precisely. You're right. Yeah, they
so
are
they're
NPCs.
fodder. They're
Yeah,
fodder.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But here's the thing, man. When I'm in a lobby with with 25 other people, right, and we're actually blasting at each other, and I'm feeling like the haptic sensations of me, like feeling an M41A, like vibrating on my arm, right, from this steel packed tiny microchip, and this haptic gun stock that I have, where I can feel the kickback, and then he blasts me in the face, and my haptic feedback mask goes off, and I'm just like, like what's the difference? Right? Like that's not camouflage at that point. That's real PvP happening in real time, and these battles are happening all the time. The BattleNet never sleeps. So yeah,
Right on. No, that's cool, man.
right.
And I appreciate your perspective, and I appreciate you sharing it. And we're definitely gonna have to do like some more follow-ups, especially once you get some more progress going on with Bolt.
Mhm.
And I definitely want to do like a part two, whether it's just something short, doing a tour, showing people some of the different things that can be done inside of the Bolt Metaverse, inside of the facility. You can actually smoke the hookah, per
Yeah.
se, digitally, which is pretty interesting. Um, there
It
was some.
almost puts you in a meditative state if you like time the breathing of the exhale as well. It's really interesting.
I could tell you
Yeah.
spent a lot of time doing this.
For the most part, I'm just
Do you live in the
doing
metaverse, 10 pound?
I wouldn't say I live in the metaverse. I'd say I just utilize it as a form of like thrill seeking and also a form of generating economic GDP. You know what I mean? Like
Word.
exchanging value internationally as well simultaneously.
That's a
There are
good answer.
people. Yeah, man. There are people I've generally like affected their life in a positive way. Like in the form of cryptocurrency through these technologies, man. So yeah, man. Like I think it's real. I think it's something that we can't ignore, and it's pretty much like interconnecting the world in ways never imaginable.
So, what is your alter ego? What is one Fiddy?
One City is I'd say an alias that I created back in 2018. It was the help of David from Glockwork Records, and he sort of like found a way to create a record label for himself and release music for him and his friends up in Michigan. And him and I started talking over Facebook, and he had me be his web dev for a while. I was also trading cryptocurrency with him as well, and yeah, he's he helped me release my first record, and you know, it was just an idea that germinated from like, you know, taking NFTs and pushing the needle forward, and you know, delving deep into the idea of like distributed computing and cryptocurrency. And with that idea, I made a bunch of music, right? A bunch of songs. I've got like well over 25 tracks. I'm launching an EP with this Metaverse World as well. And I actually got backstage to EBC Las Vegas because I helped a Grammy nominated producer, you know, pretty much hear my music and also advise him on how to move in the space to make sure that his data was permanent. So yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty much the story of 150.
So now the music NFTs, the 150 NFTs, is that
Hmm.
going to have something to do with the Bolt Metaverse? Is there going to be a collaboration between that, or are they just separate
Oh,
entities?
well, technically it's separate entities, but of course, since I'm the originator of the Bolt Metaverse and 150, I will be necessarily like featuring my music inside of my own platform and using it as a venue, of course, because I need it as well. You know, why
Right.
not?
So
Hmm.
someone might go into the Bolt Metaverse and they might be hearing 150 music.
Yeah, they could, right? Or whatever the collectors want to hear,
Yeah.
precisely. You know,
Well,
it's
I
a
mean, if there's
open
nobody
community.
utilizing the space at that point, you
Hmm.
get to choose
Yeah, I do
what.
exactly.
I even get to write on the wall. I wrote four letters that were TWANT. And I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh," and
man.
I was
Yeah.
trying to make the font bigger. I couldn't figure out how to do that, but yeah, there's on the wall. There's some writing, and you can go on there and kind of alter it through the metaverse using your
Mhm.
physical keyboard. But it's still really cool, and I can only imagine how the setup would be with using an Oculus. So I'm gonna probably get a 128 gigabyte one.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think I
not
need
the.
a 256.
Yeah, that's the one you should definitely get. Definitely, it's either that or get the 64. Get a 64 and then AirLink. If you get a 64 gig one in AirLink, that's pretty much all you need.
Now the 60,
Really.
they don't make the Oculus 2 in 64 though, do they?
Well, they did. I'm not sure if they stopped doing that now.
I thought it was just the first Oculus that was 64, but I could be
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
I just
they've
started
got.
doing the research.
Oh, it's okay. No worries, man. 64, 128, 256. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
three
Well, yeah, like I
tiers.
said, man, we're definitely gonna have to do. I like the idea of recording another part and doing it in the Bolt Metaverse. I think that's a really cool idea, so people can actually get a feel for it. And I'll have to figure out the recording part on my end, and we'll just coordinate the time. We're recording this
Yeah.
part on the 6th of May. Not sure exactly when it's going to get released, but it will be released before June. What do you have happening in June? Because you were saying
Well,
that's when some big stuff is going on your end. I guess more of a push.
yeah. So June 24th is the hard launch of the Metaverse World, but then like we're at MetaFest, which is a part of the meta game of the Meta Cartel DAO. We are doing MetaFest, which is going to be going on for 2 weeks straight, and that's going to be like leading up to the big launch event for the Bolt Metaverse World. It's going to
Is
be
that
nice.
going to be in the Bolt Metaverse, or are you just
Yeah, it's gonna be in
involved
the
with it?
Bolt Metaverse. Yeah. So MetaFest is gonna have an after party in the Bolt Metaverse. And I'm technically gonna be streaming out everything that's happening in MetaFest to uh actual Bolt, the platform. And yeah, it's like pretty much paying homage to people that helped support me early on in my Web3 journey. You know, the DAO that really like helped me build my I'd say expertise and also knowledge, and uh, for the most part uh, enabled me to accumulate a ton of Ethereum early on as well. Um, and you know, I've provided them with some data, and I think it's just a great community to be a part of. So I'm going to make sure that like you know I pay homage to the DAOs that sort of like paved the way for other big DAOs to come in. You know, and
Right.
yeah, I think
Sweet.
the Maker DAO is by far like the one of the most influential DeFi DAOs still to this day. Some people are trying to kill DAI and Maker, but I think it's gonna stay, man. I think it's a legacy contract these days.
We'll see, man. And I definitely look forward to having more conversations with you. And I will have links down below for everything we shared on today's video. I encourage people to go check out and follow Bolt Metaverse at Bolt VR on Twitter. And then if you want to follow 10 Pound, it's at TPS0011. And the Discord link, you're going to send me a copy of that so I can include it in the video description. Is it anywhere listed on the YouTube channel? I mean, excuse me, on the Twitter account?
Not at the moment, but I'm going to make that announcement soon. I'm going to make sure it's inside of the Twitter account description. So as soon as this is online, they'll be able to go to the Twitter and just click right through to join the community.
Okay. I'll put the link in the video description either way, but people can go to the Twitter account and click on the link there in the description for the Discord, and then also for the link for your personal Twitter account. And then yeah, man, I really enjoyed the conversation. I appreciate your time. Appreciate you sharing your perspective on these technologies that I think are just starting to blossom. I mean, obviously, metaverse has been around for a little bit, but the complexity of what people are expecting from a metaverse, we're still kind of a little bit off from there, I think, overall, but not too far. So I'm definitely looking forward to learning a whole lot more. Actually, since you mentioned crypto voxels, I do have an interview scheduled with, I think the guy's name is Ben Nolan. Because me and Blood, we're going to be talking to a couple different projects about maybe collaborating with them, and I might talk to you about that as well.
Okay.
So yeah, if you could bear with me 1 second, I'm just gonna wrap things up. But I guess before I do, you got any final thoughts or anything that you want to add?
Yeah, I just want to say, you know, for the most part, Web3 and Metaverse are definitely on a crash collision course at the moment, where they're gonna like merge and intersect. And you know, don't be afraid of VR. VR technology is incredibly powerful. It's hyper immersive. Some companies just aren't taking it serious, such as, you know, I'd say Activision, right, per se. But yeah, it's definitely the future of technology, and AR as well. Yeah, keep smiling. Hodl hard.
Hodl hard. I like it. All right, man. Bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna finish up the recording and press stop and all that good stuff.
Hey everybody. So I'm one Fiddy, and I'm here with ricecrypto. It's a pleasure to be with you in the metaverse for our interview, and we are in Bolt at the moment. This is the power supply right here. And of course, this is the heat sink, which is also a stage and a display that's showcasing our interview, of course. And follow me.
Yeah, dude. This is so cool. So we got the interview playing in the background. We recorded it in advance, and we talked about going into your metaverse and actually kind of going around doing a little tour, showing everybody and filming in the metaverse. So that's where we're at. We're in the Bolt Metaverse, and here we are with Juan Fiddy.
Yep.
So yeah, man, this is like you're hosting right now kind of events and parties in here, correct?
Yes. Well, our next event is practically going to be a multiple week metaverse DAO festival, where I'm going to be featuring a bunch of new emerging software and smart contracts from the community, the ETH Prague, the ETH China, and of course the ETH Denver community, over the span of, I believe, 14 days, and it's going to be a good time. And we're going to have an after party inside of here with all the DAO members. They're going to come through and hang out in this amazing space. But yeah, that's pretty much the idea, right? We're going to be hosting keynote speeches and galleries for these emerging artists and these emerging smart contract developers. And it's going to be an awesome time. But yo, so these right here are SSDs for storage. But in between the SSDs, we can go ahead and ride this elevator up. Come on out.
All right.
Just a little bit further.
A little bit further. Okay. Yep. I feel like I'm right up on you.
Yeah, you're good though. All right. So this is the hookah bar, as we were alluding to in the interview, right? So you can just walk around and why not take a seat right over here in front of this screen?
Okay, so now I want to let people know that you're on an Oculus and I'm using a computer to do this 2-dimensional. So you said to grab, I would need to touch What is it you said I needed to touch to be able to sit down?
The little move your mouse over. Yeah, you found it. You found it. Yeah, then hit enter anchor. Boom. Now you're sitting down.
So you can see what I'm doing with my controls from your perspective?
Yes, I can. Yep.
That is cool.
Yeah, I can see
So
all your
here we
radio
are.
menus.
And in order for me to be able to partake in this beautiful hookah, what do I need to do?
You need to pretty much use your mouse wheel button, your scroll, I believe,
Okay.
on top of the device while you're clicking on it, while you're right clicking on it to hold it, and then you're gonna use your mouse wheel to drag it to you. Yeah, there you go. Like so.
All right.
Yeah. You bring it a little bit closer to your mouth, a little bit closer.
I'm trying to figure it out, man. This is not the easiest thing. I was telling you before we started recording.
Yeah.
I feel so green doing this, but
It's
especially
okay.
from a computer perspective, it's not super easy. And I'm looking forward to being an Oculus doing this. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. You got it.
Ooh, I hear it. I hear it. That's cool. And I can. Oh, there's the smoke. Nice. So I can pull it back.
Yep.
More smoke. I like to smoke. So one thing that we were talking about in the interview, and you can show me here in a moment, or we could do it now, but we talked, I was messing around saying, well, this would be a really, really cool experience on some psychedelics. And you had brought out some mushrooms that you made inside of here, inside of the Bolt Metaverse. And then the really cool thing, because this has really blown my mind, man. It still has blown my mind that I'm able to eat these mushrooms, and in the process, it actually changes my perspective of the way I view things in the metaverse. So it's actually giving me that meta experience.
Precisely. Yeah, exactly that. So I just spawned it in again. That way you can just like grab one and demonstrate what it looks like.
Right click, right? And pull it towards my mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to eat another one. Okay. All right. Hold on. Come here, mushroom. Oh, I need you. Here we go. Oh.
And then they just respawn, just like that.
Oh, that is beautiful, man. So we can just like partake as much as we want. It's all you can eat buffet.
It is of mushrooms, an infinite supply. You never run out. My goodness.
Now, you're eating some as well, right?
Yeah. I'm tripping out right now.
So people can see the experiences that I'm seeing, because my view, Justin, as I was talking to you, completely altered. So I am in an altered state of reality inside of virtual reality, which is mind blowing.
Right? It's incredible.
That's just mind blowing. In a hallucinogenic setting inside of a virtual world while experiencing it in real life.
Right?
Yeah, hardcore, man. Yeah,
dude. So I like
I think we ate too much.
Maybe, I think so, but the best part about it is that like it wears off eventually. But in the meantime, you could just use some toys, man, and like trip out with the little trip toys. It's pretty neat. Right?
Where are the trip toys? Oh, I see something.
Yeah, it's
okay,
like
so
yo-yos, man.
Put my mouse on this little yo-yo and drag it to me. So if I was doing this with an Oculus, I would just be able to grab it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's how you're able to do the thumbs up, because you have the controller.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, I would say that you can obviously use this not having an Oculus, but the Oculus would make the experience that much more incredible.
Yeah, it's way more interactive. You can walk up to people and you can pat them on the head, or you can pretty much like go up to them and just like give them a high five. It's a good time, and everybody's just so natural, and they're being what they want to be, who they want to be in the metaverse. And of course, I could just pull off this hoverboard off the back of my avatar and then sort of just fly around in the space if I wanted to.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So how do I unanchor myself to be able to stand up from this point?
You're gonna have to spacebar.
Spacebar.
Yeah.
Okay, and that just makes you automatic. Oh, it's a jump. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So as we're looking around, I see you on the screen in reality, in virtual reality, which is also trippy in and of itself.
Right? Dude, it's mind blowing. It's a way to extend reality. This place is a time capsule that can reflect any live stream or any video feed to your heart's content. And let's go ahead and show them how that's configured. Let's go over to the little booth.
All right. So this is the control panel that you took me to, right?
Precisely. Yep. So
this is like the heart.
Yep.
So DJ booth access. I need to press. What is it doing?
Oh, you're already on it. You're here.
Oh, okay. I felt like this. Is it like a glass kind of clear floor?
It is a tempered glass floor. I think you see the dance floor.
I think you've upgraded since I was in here last, because this was completely confusing me now with the see-through floor.
Oh man, no! I made sure that like this was a part of the core deployment of this world. I was like, yes, I want to see the dance floor whenever I'm over here controlling the light show. But also, this is not only where you control the light show, you can also control the skybox too. So if you look up, you'll see the different changes whenever I scroll right through the numbers on the side panel.
This is so wild, man.
Control. Right?
This is so wild. This is where I was like really like enjoying the artwork and stuff like that. It's so beautiful, like going into the different settings, changing the lights up.
Right?
It's really like a state of the art actual club, but in a metaverse.
Exactly that. It's literally real. You know, I can have 64 people in this one world, max capacity, and run it in parallel, you know, like into infinity.
You know what's weird, and I don't know if this is just me, but it seems like when I rotate, it changes my hearing as if I was really there, and it alters how my ears would be if I was moving around. Does that make sense?
It's spatial audio. That's
okay.
A feature. Yep.
I've not noticed that before, and I thought that was really cool because at first I thought it was like maybe something on my internet end, and I realized it had nothing to do with that. But now what's being recorded is everything from your perspective, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Precisely.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
Because I mean, I want to make sure that like what I'm looking at and scrolling around, people don't but when I'm moving around and looking at different parts of the room, do you see my avatar moving?
I do. Yes, exactly. I see the body and the head moving in parallel.
So I can spin around here and people just see me spinning?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that I'm on point.
Oh, you're good, man. 100%. You're doing just right, bro. So the cool part about this light show apparatus is that like I can completely change the way the world looks and the color of the world, regardless of what's on the video screen. So, you know, we can just make it whatever color as I'm scrolling down through the color wheel. You know, and also the brightness of the color I can adjust as well.
And it's changing the color of all the different, technically like what we would consider LED lights in reality.
Yeah, precisely. But it's really just a global color setting for this entire world itself.
And you can see a monitor right there of us in the background.
Yep. So I just made the world track what the video sees now. So now we're back to being fully audio reactive in color. So yeah, and it's just parsing through whatever is on the video feed in itself. But I can even control the speed of the light show going on downstairs, or let's make it spin, right? The direction of the lights in itself, or I can make it go up and down, just flashing up and down.
That is wild.
Yeah. It's pretty
so
neat.
It's like, I mean, because I've been inside of DJ booths and light booths, so it works in conjunction of how things would work in reality, but just in this virtual setting.
Precisely that. Yep.
Which is really wild to think about. I mean, I do love the idea of metaverse. I think it's really cool. Like I told you, the dangers of the things that I felt that I don't want people to replace real life, because as cool of an experience as this is, there's so much value in the real world too, that people need to make sure that they find value and keep their presence grounded. So
for sure.
Just my only opinion with the metaverse, because this is a great tool, but like all tools, they can be used for good and bad, and it just all depends on people's intentions. So if someone is like really enticed by the idea of metaverse, I would, and it's because they don't like their life, I would hope that as they try to utilize these technologies, that they also are trying to improve their actual life and not just use this as an escape mechanism.
Absolutely, 100%. And the idea is for this to enable brands to reach more people, people that they wouldn't be able to reach in reality whenever they're in the boardroom or in the ballroom, right? And just sort of like broadcast and expand outward and have people come in and digitally be a part of the event. And then the CTO or the CEO can come into the metaverse and have a chat with the people that were here, you know, after the fact, while there's an after party going on, where of course you and I have been in physical events and physical, b- large ballrooms, right? And then like we would have like Jerome from Bits and Tokens, pretty much have a digital event going on in parallel. It's
Right.
practically that concept and idea to maximize reach and presentation. That's the whole purpose of
And
this.
I agree, man.
Hmm.
I'm gonna be in Austin. We recorded this interview in a couple different segments, so it'll
Hmm.
be released while I'm in Austin. So if you're watching this, I'm in Austin, and there's a lot of one of the things I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be running a presentation, hosting a panel at Decentral, and it's about Web3 and branding. And I can definitely see a lot of, because I already see a lot of companies bringing their brands into the Web3 space. And I can already see where things like this, knowing the success of Fortnite and a lot of the concerts that they've held and things like that, I definitely see the potential in everything that's being offered here, man. And I think it's a really cool space that you guys have built out. It's really cool. It's really the only thing I could say. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
There is one question though, like maybe one series of questions that I have, like looking at your avatar right now,
Yeah, why not?
because I know you in real life, and you wear the haptic gear and you kind of go for the whole Black Panther kind of thing. But I have to ask, like, you got the Mr. T gold going on. There's no mohawk. You got this furry vest, and you have a bionic arm with some some purple pants.
Yeah.
Explain to me the and the hoverboard, obviously, kind of on your back. Can you explain to me a little bit about the choice of avatar and clothing and presentation? Because I know you're big on that.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So this is a Ready Player Me, by the way. So everything you're seeing was generated by their engine. You can go and make one of these for free, and you can download it and import it into Neos. In fact, they have a partnership with Neos, and I believe a lot of other VR platforms and metaverses such as VR Chat and TribeXR, where you can just sort of import your face into a neural net, and then it renders out a bunch of different data sets that you can then choose from. So I just so happened to choose this one because I thought it reflected me. Really, because I'm a gold bug, but I'm also a crypto head, right? So I'm like a symbiote, right? Like an Austrian cyborg,
The Austrian cyborg, I like
Yeah,
that.
and
It definitely fits you. I just wasn't sure if it was
Mhm.
something that you completely customized and you chose all those different elements for like specific reasons.
Yeah.
Nice shoes too, by the way.
Appreciate it. Yeah. So, of course, I can change all of this, everything, and remesh it to be whatever I'd like. But yeah, I definitely chose it because it just resonates with me and my person. And of course, the hoverboard. You asked a great question. When I first got into this platform, somebody gave me a hoverboard, and I was like, man, that hoverboard's super cool, but I want to mod it. So what I did was I took the standard hoverboard mesh that he gave me, and then I just completely tinkered with it and made a bunch of neon variants, like different colors of it. And I'll show you what the original looks like, really quick. That way you can get a general idea of.
Okay.
So this is it right here, right? And
That's
then
the original, and then
yeah,
you
this is
turn it
the
into what's on your
original.
back.
Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a wireframe to it, right? And it's got a nice little blue tint to it. It's pretty neat, right? But
No, it's wild. I like those trails too. It leaves when it moves around.
right? Bro, it's so sick. So I pretty much made a bunch of different colors of them. And Yeah, I just had a blast with customizing them, and I was
That's
like,
wild, man.
right? That's what I'm saying. I loved it, and it's one of my favorite pastimes is just come into the metaverse and fly around on a hoverboard, and sometimes do it on like a microscopic level, where like I'm like a mosquito or a fly on the wall, and I'm flying around in these people's worlds where it's designed for like humanoids your size and my size, but I'm like a little insect, and I get like a hyper ridiculous overstimulated perspective, if you will, of a world that's not necessarily meant to be experienced that way, but I choose to experience it that way nonetheless. And I love doing it here too, because there's so much machinery, as you can tell, just flying through, up and around and through the in between the cables, in between the trusses, the spinning trusses. Whenever you're microscopic, man, it's so beautiful. It's just uh, a perspective I can't really put into words.
Well, no,
For the
it's
most
cool
part.
though. But when you do something like that, does in your inner world with other users, do they know that you're present?
Sometimes.
Unless you,
Yeah.
so you don't have to make yourself present.
I don't. Nope.
So you can literally be a fly on the virtual wall.
Exactly that, right? When I was hosting the Genesis event in this world, which there was a billionaire AI mogul who came to the Genesis event. Shout out Montreal. I was literally hovering outside of the world, watching everything that was going on inside the world, the dance floor, the power supply upstairs, and the hookah bar from an outside perspective. Like I was like watching like a little toy house, like when kids used to play with their little Barbie townhouse, with their dolls and stuff, little girls. It was like that, but for like the metaverse, like it was pretty neat. I got to see all through the entire walls and just analyze everybody. We had like 20 plus people, 30 plus people in the world at one time. And we're just
Dude, I mean, this is really cool. So I mean, what I want to do is I think this is a good spot to kind of wrap up the tour. So ladies and gentlemen, check out the links that I've been sharing on today's video. If this happens to be your first time watching any of my content, be sure to check out and explore my channel. I'd encourage you to be subscribed. Make sure you be blessed, be the change, practice change, and I will see you on the next show.